Um, I guess transitioning over to your current work, how did you get started with BC Moss?
Well, I guess, BC Moss started as, the transition over from Doves. It was a great program, but it was hard to get funding for it because people looked at. I mean, ultralights were not, looked at in a very fair, you know, a good light, you could say. It's like, and then you throw on top, your quads. No, you want to fly an ultralight and your quad? Yeah, so it was difficult to obtain funding. What we did, we had a plane, but it got wrecked in a windstorm. So it was like all that work, it was gone. So now we thought, well, we like that outdoors as well. So we, got this all-terrain vehicle. It was a six-wheel Argo, so it could go on the water on land. So we fixed that all up. So I guess I guess we formed BC Moss, officially, and then pursued the outdoors and the all-terrain vehicles. Um, but again, that was it was gas, and it was very limited trails we can go on. It was a great machine. It was parked at a gas station, and it was stolen. So all that work again gone. So at that point, we started looking at, should we get, golf carts, electric vehicles, and then that's when we, thought about, doing something manual, and that's when the trailer rider was born. So yeah, that was, started to pursue that, and as at the same time, uh, when Rick got home from his tour, he had a sailboat that Margaret Thatcher gave him. So at the same time, we started a sailing program within BC Moss, but it, instantly become so successful, and that's where DSA was spun off into. So like I say, it was, we thought it should have its own society. So that's, you know, again, that's when DSA, Vancouver was born at that time. I've been on the board of BC Moss and DSA now for um, over 30 years, from the beginning. Um, I was on the board of Connector as well, but I just, dropped that because a little bit too busy for.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah. So I mean, it's the things I've seen in all the organizations is incredible. The amount of people that have been touched by, all the activities. I mean, it's directly and indirectly is thousands of people, and it's very humbling and gratifying to know that you had a piece of that. I just say we, a small part. Sam was the driving factor on all these societies. I was competing in sport and full time job as you know you know so I was all these things are taking up time. So and he was able to focus on the societies, and but I I my small part of being there and assisting when I could. I think it was very humbling and gratifying for what has transpired over the years.
Could you tell us what is BC Moss?
Well, as you said, it's British Columbia Mobility Opportunity Society, which is our I guess our flagship. Has been the trail rider, and recently we have the paddling program um, as well, and we're plans to also add adaptive fishing, which I'm incredibly passionate about as well because I love fishing. Um, and I run currently a program through BC Wildlife Federation. It's called a Fishing Forever Day, which is the BC Wildlife Federation has over 100 clubs. So they asked the clubs, in the province if they could, host a day of fishing for people with disabilities. So it's the location and all the equipment. Yeah, so it's a great event, great cause, and fishing can be extremely empowering as well, and really inexpensive program to run. I mean, the equalizer is a fishing rod. It doesn't matter how young, old, man, woman, even if you have a severe disability, you can all get out there and catch the same fish. Yeah, so it's the progression of BC Moss is that adaptive fishing is added as well.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit more about this adaptive fishing program. What sort of challenges have you faced, and where is it now, and where do you hope it will? What are you hoping it will become?
Well, like I say, I'm passionate about it. It's, can be done cheaply. It can be very empowering. Like the DSA, the sailing program. You need a $25,000 boat. With adaptive fishing, you can have a fishing rod, and it's so versatile. And you don't need a sailing center, so it's for a very little cost. It can be a very successful, empowering program. Um, yeah, so it's like I say. I mean, I love going out fishing with my daughter, and the biggest problem is locations and finding accessible docks, which I'm very active trying to work with currently working with BC Parks and Associates, trying to get adaptive fishing and an accessible pier here. Um, yeah, so yeah, it's a great program, great activity. Like I say, besides I love it.
Of course.
There is a lot of equipment as well that can be purchased, and we're actively testing, and will be potentially providing that kind of stuff for others as well.
Trail rider. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it's the what it is basically a one wheel rickshaw type. You get in the seat, and it's got a one wheel under you, and it's got handles in the front and back, and you got a Sherpa in the front and the back, and there you go. It's been up Mount Kilimanjaro, and a great piece of equipment. I think we build about 10 a year now. Yeah, and they're all over the world. Um, yeah, so it's a great piece of equipment, um, and you can go up mountains. So many places that otherwise that are completely inaccessible. Now you can get in and go up the mountain.
You've been on BC Moss now for 30 years. What has motivated you to be so actively involved in this work?
It's seeing people empowered by the activities. The trail rider, you know getting out in a canoe, or the paddleboard. It's all those things that he says it's 30 some years, and I love seeing the smile on people's faces. It changes. Sometimes it can change a person's life. Like mine was at this turkey shoot, but it's being able to provide that same type of experience. Like I said, whether it's the trail rider, sailing, or fishing, that's to be able to change somebody's life. That's I don't know, incredibly motivating and humbling, and wow.
Would you say it's the most rewarding aspect of your line of work?
Yeah, that's that. I mean, that's why I've been on the boards, for so many years, because it's gratifying, like I say, and being able to change somebody's life. You know, I knew the person I was, before I went to that shooting match, that turkey shoot. I know I was felt incredibly disabled. Didn't know what I was going to do, and boom, in an instant, my life changed. And be able to see that and do that for somebody else. wow, yeah, you can't beat that, right?
Um, what do you find to be the most challenging aspect of your work?
The board stuff, nothing. As an advocate for people with disabilities, it's the lack of attention to basic issues, I guess. Simple things that just don't need to be there. Because in basic sidewalks and parking is, you know, I live in Asuyas and there's still stores that are not accessible. And we are just about the oldest average age community in the entire country. And to see that, and like I say, it was, Rick Hansen, wheeled around the world 30 years ago, trying to get that, identified, and still, today we see it, 2022. Yeah, I guess that's, the biggest frustration is, people don't realize how bad it is until they're in a chair. So many of us like, had an injury or, a hip operation or in a chair temporarily, or get hurt. And they just, wow, we just didn't know how bad it was, and, exactly. I mean, so yeah, I guess that is the biggest frustration is, not seeing the movement I would like to see.
How do we go about improving this?
Um, well, I guess there's, federal legislation now, BC legislation, um, to hopefully identify, and fix that. Um, I, I wish it was done. You know, the U.S. had the ADA standards. I don't know how many years ago, 30 maybe, I don't know, a long time. I guess, why is it taking that long? I guess thankfully it has happened now. They're currently working on the criteria and requirements for it. But hopefully it's soon, and there's serious impacts and consequences when people don't, do some of this stuff. I know it's going to be costly, but it's beyond time to do it.
No, absolutely. Um, as a disabled individual and as an advocate for the disabled community, what have you learned about the disabled community as a whole?
Well, basically, with all the challenges, we're very resilient, and so many. There's such an incredible group in the Okanagan. We just put our head down and we keep going. Everywhere in the province and across the country, same thing. Um, yeah, like, we're here, we're still going. Myself, it's 37 years in a chair. Um, yeah, it's keep plugging away. Um, you know, I got young kids, and hopefully, you know, they will, get on board and, help with that. And I think more people should jump on. Everybody with a disability tries the best to, be advocates for the disability group. Um, yeah, as the population ages, just more and more people are going to have the same issues. So,
Is there anything that you've learned about yourself or maybe about society from your experience?
well, I grew up on a farm in Alberta. I was always a hardworking farm kid, and I guess I'm still try to plug away the best I can. I see, I see people want to change, um, but in some ways it's the cost factors. But just I wish that I bite the bullet and just get on with it.
What is your advice to someone who is looking to become an advocate?
Um, well, I guess let your views be known. That's what we can do. That's what everybody can do. Um, a couple people are here and there, voicing your opinions may not get attention, but if there's more of us all the time, more and more people. I mean, I think it's 25% are identified in the country as having some type of disability. I mean, we're a growing group, and with the aging population, it's only growing. Let your voice be known. Um, I was never one I was a shy kid. You hate to, say, man, this is not good. Do something about it. Fix it. Not only for yourself, but for others. And that's again, this motivating factor. If you don't say it, you know, not for yourself, but maybe for somebody else, right?
Absolutely. Um, to close out our discussion today, we'd love to have you participate in our word association segment of our podcast. The way this works is I'm just going to give you a word, and I'd like you to tell me how you feel it relates to the disability community. Just the first thing that comes to your mind, and then we could have a bit of a small discussion about it. Does that sound all right with you?
Sure.
Cool. So the first word I have for you is accessibility.
More work to be done.
More work to be done. Well said. Um, I mean, you touched on it already, but we definitely have come. Um, I think we've made progress, but it's not enough. I think there's still much more to be done.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. More advocates.
absolutely. The second word I have for you is determination.
um, well, I guess I could say I'm quite determined. I have plugged along for 37 years. I'm still going. Still a lot to be done. I can say you know I love seeing people um, successful, being successful, getting on with their life after an injury or disability. Um, yeah, so I guess I did it. You can do it too. Um, yeah.
Right on. Third word is hobbies.
Fishing.
Well, that was my last word for you, but yeah.
Uh, um, fishing. I mean, I love fishing. My 8-year-old loves fishing. She caught her first fish at my Fishing Forever event when she was 3. Um, Complete natural. She caught 3 really nice trout, and at the end of the afternoon, at the end of the event, she caught 20. Said she caught 20, and the biggest was like as big as the one in the poster. So complete natural.
Yeah. Mike, thank you so much for coming on today. I really do appreciate it.
You're most welcome.
Of course. And to all our viewers out there tonight, you guys have yourselves a good night.